All right, in this video, I want to talk about the X-Wing novel series by Michael A Stackpole, which is now considered Legends. And a lot of fans really enjoy this series. I'm not a very big book reader. I read slower than a sloth, so books are typically not my way. I'm going to consume Star Wars. But saying that, I do have the original Grand Admiral Thrawn trilogy, loved it, and I have the entire X-Wing series, and I have eventually I've read them all, and I love them, especially the first 4 books, and that's what this video is going to be talking about. So, and then, just hypothetically, how could this series potentially be worked into the new canon? And The Mandalorian offers some unique opportunities in that regard. Okay, so for those who haven't had a chance to read the outstanding X-Wing series books, I'll give you a quick little summary of what they're like. The first novel, entitled Rogue Squadron, is very much Top Gun-esque. It's all about recruiting, setting up the squadron. Wedge Antilles plays the lead here, and it ends in a big attack on an Imperial stronghold on a moon base, and that is the first of many steps to take back Coruscant. And Coruscant, you say take back, in the EU during this timeline, it was still under Imperial control, so the New Republic is still actively trying to take back the capital. And by book 2, it's all about actually taking back the capital. The New Republic obviously needs support because the Empire is still very strong in this timeline. So they even go as far as enlisting Black Sun operatives who are prisoners on Kessel. Rogue Squadron liberates them, and they use them as saboteurs on Coruscant, and they execute their mission to take over Coruscant. And then as they're forcing the Empire out, they leave a virus on the planet which only targets alien life, and so humans are safe, but it kind of, not only is it killing a lot of people, but now the Republic's in charge and they're left to deal with the aftermath. You have human versus alien rights going on. It's very political. And of course, where does the Empire go? They end up going and occupying the planet Thyphera, where the majority of Bacta is made. Bacta is the cure for the virus. They kind of blockade that planet and all shipments to Coruscant. So the 4th book is all about trying to liberate that planet to get enough Bacta back to Coruscant to start curing all these people who are sick with the virus. So it's a very compelling, 4-book. It's I believe the series is 9 or 10 books long, but the first 4 are cohesive stories. So it's a very compelling story. And if I was to relate it back to Top Gun, for those of you who've seen Top Gun but haven't read the books, as far as key characters are concerned, you kind of have the who's who in comparison. So Corran Horn is kind of your main character, and he's your Maverick. Oral is your Goose. There is an Iceman, and in this story, and that'll be Bror Jace. Tycho Selchu, it would be the kind of the equivalent to Jester, and of course Wedge Antilles, kind of leading the show, would be your Viper. So those are the key good characters. Obviously, there's a ton more people in the squadron. There's a ton more military support, more than that. But just from as a quick summary, that's where we're at with those. And then the main baddie is Zaynazard. She's a female intelligence director who she's the director in charge of Coruscant when the books kind of take place. So, how can The Mandalorian set up a potential X-Wing / Rogue Squadron movie, or its own Disney Plus series? And it's actually very basic, and it would be as simple as having Moff Gideon actually report to a Zaynazard. The reason why this makes sense is if you think about it, Gideon so far, all we've seen, yes, he has troops. He obviously probably has a stronghold somewhere, but he has a handful of TIE fighters and troops. Like, that's more or less what we've seen so far. Zaynazard has a superstar destroyer in the novels, so she presents that kind of next level big bad. And if you think in terms of the Mandalorian, Moff Gideon is like the Mando's his level of antagonist, right? The Mando and the Razor Crest and an enclave of Mandalorians aren't going to be taking out a superstar destroyer or doing anything in that regard, because that's not even he's not even going to get involved in those type of politics, right? Like, the reason why Moff Gideon's pulling him is going to eventually pull him in is because of the Darksaber and what it means to the Mandalorian people. But as far as the rest of the Imperial remnants, the Mando might not choose to get involved in any of that, right? Because bounty hunters kind of stray that neutral line. So if they set it up where Gideon reports to Zard, that kind of introduces that character and bigger threat into canon. And then, as we've seen in season 2, episode 2 of The Mandalorian, as well as season 1, they have introduced a few X-Wing pilots now. And now, so far they've been more or less director cameos and then the main guy from Kim's Convenience. So they've served as just kind of cameo roles for people. But if they really want to take that serious, they could maybe start introducing some of the future pilots who would be in Rogue Squadron. The timeline of the Rogue Squadron books and the Mandalorian are almost identical. And as Wedge starts to recruit Rogue Squadron, he's recruiting pilots from all over the New Republic, right? Like, Rogue Squadron is your Top Gun. It is the top squadron to be in. And they also have a double duty as commandos as well. So you can have random New Republic X-Wing pilots who maybe play a bigger role in a Mando episode, who end up going on to be recruited to Rogue Squadron. So you have two in-routes to start developing or making people more aware of a potential, X-Wing Rogue Squadron movie series storylines for people who haven't really read the book, by bringing them up in the Mandalorian. And even saying that, it could even be, in any of the other Disney Plus properties that'll be coming out that have all been rumored. There's the Thrawn Ezra, so lots of potential to start weaving that universe. And with all the rumors of the Filoniverse and all these different series intermingling, there's obviously some ripe material, to harvest here between Jedi and The Force Awakens. The Aftermath novels I haven't read, but it couldn't have accounted for everything. Obviously, there's a lot to go on there. So I think it's a great opportunity for maybe Disney to make this move. And considering how Rogue One did in theaters, I know it was coming off The Force Awakens high, but Rogue One did very well. And from everyone I talked to, Rogue One's highly regarded as one of their favorite Star Wars movies, and it's probably the best of the Disney movies that have come out. So I would envision an X-Wing Rogue Squadron movie more to the akin of what Rogue One is versus obviously the sagas. The saga movies. So I think a lot of that works very well with kind of the universe they're developing. Now, to whether or not they use all the characters and storylines from the books, that's obviously completely up in the air. As you've seen with Rebels and Clone Wars, they like to take some things from EU, but maybe reinterpret or change the stories around, even using Grand Admiral Thrawn as an example. But you already got Wedge in canon, obviously, so you got that main piece. I think it's a slam dunk to bring Corran Horn in. He's a big, fan favorite, and he'd be your main lead guy. So it's an opportunity to bring in a strong actor to portray Corran. And outside of Corran Horn, the next big character would be great on screen is Zaynazard. She, the perfect casting for her already exists. Like Charlize Theron, I actually had a conversation with a few people on Twitter about this, and we all kind of unanimously agreed. Charlize Theron is spot on, perfect cast for Azard. So that would be, I don't know if Star Wars they haven't really had a female, villain on the big screen, right? Or even on a Disney Plus series. So that would check a lot of boxes, obviously, for them. And, Charlize Theron is a terrific actress who would nail the character of Azard. And, that'd be an absolute home run. Now, as far as using the storyline from the books, that's where they'd have to get creative. Because, again, I don't think they're going to be liberating Coruscant, so to speak, in this timeline. I'm not sure. Hit me up in the comments if I'm off on my timing. But maybe they have to liberate another planet, right? So there's easy ways of tweaking that story to fit that Rogue Squadron setup. And one of the things would be awesome to see on screen is, spoiler warnings if you haven't read the books, but anyways, Zaynazard has a superstar destroyer called the Lusankia, and when you hear about the Lusankia, it's where she does her torture. She kind of converts rebels into sleeper agents for the Imperials. Like, she's all into that mind control torture type scenario, which outside of Rogue One with Saw Gerrera with that with that alien who sucks Bodhi Rook's brains out, we haven't really got into the mind control piece a whole lot. So that'd be an interesting storyline. And then the coolest moment of all of it is the Lusankia was buried in Coruscant. Once the New Republic had freed Coruscant, she fired up the engines and blew that sucker right out of the planet and bombarded half of Coruscant on her way out. So seeing, her rip this super star destroyer out of the ground of a planet when, not a lot of fans know that's going to happen, that would be great to see on the big screen. Then the other storyline that would also be potentially interesting is the whole virus thing, right? We haven't really seen a widespread virus pandemic, given the times we're in too with COVID going on, right? A wide virus spread, in Star Wars would obviously be, fits kind of the real life timeline, what's going on out there. So a lot of definitely cool stuff they can definitely do with this. So this is a storyline that I definitely want to see on the big screen. I'm a big fan of, obviously, Rogue Squadron. I'm a big fan of Rogue One. I'm a big fan of the X-Wing series. So this is high atop my list. Let me know in the comments, is this something you'd love to see too? If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new videos.